There is a growing anti-white sentiment where white people are regularly demonized, ostracized, and blamed for all the problems in the world. At the same time, Hollywood
Demonized and ostracized? Wait, where are white people like kicked out on the basis of them being white?
Black people's obsession with racism of the past can be seen in the obvious double standard of demanding white people not be allowed to say the N-word even while singing along to popular rap songs. Which
So we've gotten 1350, the JQ, go back to your own country, and now why can't I say the N-word, bro? Holy shit! It's so funny. He started off complaining about this idea of white privilege. The fact that the biggest issue for you is that you as a white person can't say the N-word? The fact that you view that as a war on white people? Mark, that's privilege, my friend. You are incredibly privileged. He's just whining unironically that he can't say the N-word. This is like the conservative stereotype that lefties make fun of. The left is censoring us. They won't let me say the N-word. Somebody sent this to me, and now I'm really curious and I really want to watch it. So Mark Dice has posted this video. This was 1 month ago now, and I just had it sent to me now. The war on white people. So this sounds exciting. I don't know about you, but I'm very curious to know where this war on white people is taking place. Thankfully, Mark Dunce here is going to explain this to us. So take it away, Marky Poo.
Despite Hollywood's insistence on wanting to end all bigotry and promote tolerance for everything, there is a growing anti-white sentiment where white people are regularly demonized, ostracized, and blamed for all the problems in the world. At the same time, Hollywood
Demonized and ostracized? Wait, where are white people like kicked out on the basis of them being white? Where? Can you even give me an example of this throughout history? Because usually it's the white people ostracizing other people.
is doing everything that they can to portray blacks and Latinos as perpetual victims of whiteness, whose lives have been ruined for generations because of white privilege. According
Very helpful hint. When you are talking about how there's a war on white people, try to avoid words like the blacks. Try not to do that, okay?
Of whiteness, whose lives have been ruined for generations because of white privilege. According to Hollywood, black
I know I'm pausing this like a ton already, I'm sorry, but this is just a straw man argument. No one's saying that the blacks and Latinos are perpetual victims because of white privilege. No, there's systemic racism that plays a role here in disadvantaging a lot of black people. I don't think this makes black people perpetual victims, and I don't see how this has anything to do with white privilege. He's just like mushing words together. He saw some cringy Twitter lefty use, and he thinks that that's the entire left.
People never do anything wrong, or if they do, it's the result of the circumstances of their life, which put them in that position because of systemic and institutional racism at the hands of white.
Good job, Mark. You got it right that time, buddy. Nice job. Do you want a cookie?
People. John Langley, the creator of the reality show Cops, admitted he purposefully didn't allow many segments involving police confrontations with black suspects and instead aired more white people being detained and arrested because he didn't want to promote any stereotypes about black people and crime. Never mind the Department of Justice.
So this is just someone doing their show the way that they want to do their show. So you realize that because black people are a minority, that means, just mathematically speaking, there are less white people who come in contact with black people, which means that negative stereotypes for black people go a lot further. This is a dude's show. It's not like the government is fudging numbers or something. Some guy's show, a private company decides to not show black people getting arrested as much because they don't want to uphold stereotypes. Why do you care? Who gives a shit?
Statistics which show that certain people make up approximately 13% of the population in the United States, but are responsible for close to 50% of the total murders.
1 minute and 11 seconds. Damn. So we're on the war on white people, and so far all you've done is shit on black people, claiming that the left thinks they're perpetual victims, and then you just dropped the 1350 meme. Did you know that 13% of the population commits 50% of the crime? Yes, Mark. Anybody who has been on online spaces knows that statistic. The truth of the matter is, a lot of that violence is related to gang violence, and furthermore, there is a disproportionate amount of crime amongst certain black areas, but again, it doesn't excuse criminality, it's just an explanation for why there's disproportionate rates of criminality, and that is because of disproportionate rates of poverty, which is because of, yes, systemic racism. I'm sorry, Mark, I know for you, you think that if you can just like laugh at the concept of systemic racism ahead of time, that somehow that argument becomes invalid, but that's not how the real world works. The truth of the matter is, there have been policies throughout history that have disadvantaged black people, kept them in poverty, kept them from building equity, kept them from building up generational wealth, and this has downstream negative trickle-down effects on black people moving forward. It's that simple. So whenever these chuckle fucks bring up the 1350 meme, they're almost always doing it dishonestly. Almost every time it's dishonest, because they're not talking about, hey guys, here's higher rates of crime and here's why that is. They say, did you know that certain people commit 50% of the crime despite being 13% of the population? Curious. Stroking their chin, Pepe, you know? It's just a signal, dog whistle, I guess, to this delusional idea that like the blacks are just criminals or something, or just they're more likely to commit crime by virtue of them being black. I don't know. It's really, really cringy.
Pointing out statistics like that is considered to be racist. Of course, diversity is a code word meaning less white people, and in recent years, Hollywood has been obsessed.
That's a lie. So that diversity means less white people. Wasn't that coined by a white supremacist? He's like just saying things. I like watching Mark Dice's videos because he never offers any arguments. He just makes claims. Just, hey, did you know that black people commit crime? Did you know that when they say that they want diversity, what they're really talking about is getting rid of white people? Did you know that? Yeah, it's really cool, guys. Anywho, and then he just like goes on rambling more.
Obsessed with what liberals believe are too many white people starring in films and TV shows. In 2015, after the Academy Award nominees were announced, the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite went viral from people complaining that there weren't any black people nominated for Best Actor or Best Actress that year. In their minds, black people are the best, and it must have been because of racism that none happened to be nominated for those spots that year. Instead of mocking them, the media and celebrities took their delusion seriously, and from that point on, their foot was in the door, and each year after that, there would be more scrutiny over how many people of color were nominated and which actors won and how many white people starred in TV shows and films. Every time nominees were mentioned, media reports would flood the internet about the lack of diversity and how problematic it was. Why do snubs for women and people of color keep happening? They would ask every time half the nominees weren't black or Latino. Fans of Jennifer Lopez were so upset that she...
Is this just like a couple woke scolds got mad on Twitter because there were a lot of white people? Really? Like this is the war on white people, Mark? It's hilarious because for the amount of fear-mongering these dipshits do about black people, they think it's a war against white people for like a couple of numbskulls online to be like, why are there so many white people? Why didn't a black director get an award? That's the war on white people, but you getting up here dog whistling to crime statistics, you getting up here railing about how the blacks are committing crime and the blacks are just always perpetual victims and the left just wants to wipe out white people by giving more diversity. Ooh, that's not a war on diversity or on black people or on people of color or anything like that. No, those are just conservative talking points. But then the minute some dipshit online is like, hey, there's so many white people on stage, you just fall into like a melting puddle of piss, throwing a tantrum. This is embarrassing, dude.
She wasn't nominated for Best Actress for her role as a stripper in a film called Hustlers that they took to Twitter, as usual, to complain about it, demanding justice for J-Lo. In the film, she plays one of a group of strippers who drug and then defraud rich men who come into their club, running up their credit cards. Not exactly Oscar material, but she must have gotten snubbed because she's Latino. Others were equally upset that...
Why were you watching a video about the stripper, Mark? Have you been dabbling in a little degeneracy?
Jamie Foxx, Lupita Nyong'o, Awkwafina, and Eddie Murphy weren't nominated for anything either one year, all because of racism. Not that they had mediocre performances or others who happened to be white made more of an impact. Director Tim Burton, the man behind Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, and The Nightmare Before Christmas, angered the diversity police because he didn't cast a diverse group of characters.
How is any of this a war on white people? They're just saying they want more brown people to be nominated. That's it. A lot of these people view equality as a zero-sum game. As if we give more equal treatment to people of color, then that's going to reduce the equal treatment of white people. This is the wrong way of thinking. We can all enjoy equality here in this country without reducing equality for white people or something.
in his movie Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, since Samuel L. Jackson was the only black person in the movie. He trended on Twitter from so many woke people calling him racist. Actor Jonah Hill said that real change in the industry will only come when white men no longer run the studios and streaming companies. While celebrities obsessively complain about too many white people being in positions of power in Hollywood and starring in too many shows and winning too many awards, none of them would ever commit the cardinal sin of the entertainment industry by asking about another certain group or their influence. Everyone knows that would kill their career overnight.
Oh, shit! Mark isn't even hiding it anymore. He's just straight up JQing right now. I love it. I love how the video is called The War on White People, and so far it's him declaring war on virtually every minority he can fucking think of. Oh my god. Mark, they would never talk about the other group. You realize that Jews are also white, right, Mark? Unless, don't tell me you don't think that the Jews are white. I love it, man. 3 minutes and 51 seconds to just diversity bad. They want to get rid of white people. 1350 Jewish question. It is hilarious. This is like an AI generated video going right through the pipelines. You don't need to talk about the Jews in Hollywood because white people account for the Jews in Hollywood as well. Second of all, you would have to demonstrate what is relevant about people being Jews. Yeah, okay, listen, it's a dumb argument to be like, we need to get all the white people out of Hollywood, and that's a stupid thing to say. But like, at least a dumb argument like that can somewhat be argued in the sense that, well, if you're white, you might have subconscious bias in favor of other white people, so the more white people you have, the less likely it is that black people are going to get a fair shot to be nominated. Okay, that kind of makes sense, not a good argument still, but at least it like is coherent. The Jewish thing, what? It's like, well, they're white, but because they're Jewish, that's why they want there to be more pornography in films and less brown people. Like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? There's nothing relevant with them being Jews where there is a little more relevance with them being white. Again, stupid argument all the same, but my God, he just went mask off. Holy fuck.
No matter how earnestly or tactfully it was brought up, but complaining about too many white men having positions of power in the
No matter how tactfully it was brought up. You mean like Kanye, where he said Hitler wasn't all that bad, we should be nicer to Nazis and the Jews control everything? The Jewish media? So tactful. So earnest. Kanye West was just earnestly asking about them.
Another certain group or their influence. Everyone knows that would kill their career overnight, no matter how earnestly or tactfully it was brought up. But complaining about too many white men having positions of power in the industry, straight white men to be exact, has become a rallying cry for social justice warriors. There are numerous specials on Comedy Central and Netflix which feature black and Latino comedians whose entire act is basically making fun of white people, which is fine and sometimes funny, but we all know the double standard. Few white comedians would dare make jokes about blacks or Latinos. Jokes about Asians used to be acceptable, but those two would be career suicide today. Meanwhile, blacks and Latinos can joke about how much they hate white people or complain about the...
What are you talking about? You're just making up a story. You're scaring yourself with your own bedtime story right now. You haven't even given any examples. You're just saying things. Did you know that if somebody tried to make a joke about black people, they would get their career canceled? I think that's true. I had a dream once and it was pretty realistic, so that's obviously what's happening, dude.
Problem with white people, and often their disdain is obvious, and their jokes are just thinly veiled anti-white.
Also, can we just appreciate the irony of how Overton window has shifted here? We went from in 2016, those dumb SJWs always so offended by jokes, to 2023, those damn conservatives, man. They're getting offended by jokes. They went from triggered SJWs can't take jokes to I'm the triggered SJW who can't take a joke. It's hilarious, Mark. You're a sensitive little snowflake.
Sitcom Blackish was about how America supposedly hates black people, with the lead character telling members of her family that repeatedly throughout the entire show. The one kind of movie Hollywood loves to make more than crime thrillers or action adventures or superhero movies are ones that highlight how racist white people are. Historical dramas about how awful...
What? This is just appealing to people who already feel the same way. So you'll have some like ho-dunk redneck who's watching Fox News all day and he thinks that the damn whites are constantly being shat upon. And then he sits down and watches a Mark Dice video and Mark Dice just says what he wants to hear without giving any examples. Hollywood loves making movies about how white people are bad. Anyway, let's move on to a different subject. So my hemorrhoids today, like he's not giving an argument. He's not making any argument. He's just saying stuff and then moving on. And again, it's only dumb fucks who already believe this kind of thing that are gonna watch this and start jerking themselves raw about, yeah, oh yeah, I'm so fucking oppressed for being white. Oppress me, daddy. And everybody else with like a brain, maybe a couple brain cells, an IQ above 50 can sit here and watch this and be like, can you give an example? You're just like saying things right now. You're just making shit up. Where's this happening? Where does Hollywood love making this the most? Those aren't the movies that even make the most money. How many movies does Hollywood make per year about superheroes, crime, action, thrillers, stuff like that compared to movies that focus specifically on racial dynamics? You're just making stuff up.
White people are and how the films reflect what's still happening today come out every year. Some of them are black revenge fantasies like Django Unchained, and actor Jamie Foxx even bragged about killing a bunch of white people in the film when he was a featured guest on Saturday Night Live.
Django Unchained, I play a slave. How black is that? And in the movie I have to wear chains. How whack is that? But don't be worried about it, because I get out the chains, I get free, I save my wife, and I kill all the white people in the movie. How great is that?
That film incites.
That was such a non-offensive joke. Why would you play the context? Dude, he's talking about killing his slave owners in the film. Wasn't this movie released a long-ass time ago? Look at this movie that came out like 20 years ago about a slave who got free and killed his white masters. Hollywood hates us whites. Mark, do you feel like you're being targeted specifically because you're just racist? Do you feel like a lot of the times it's racist white people who are shat upon in movies and you take offense to that because you're a racist white person? Could that have anything to do with it? Like, the only person who would be offended by a clip like that would be a slave owner. Now, I don't know what's going on in your private life, Mark. I don't know what's happening in your basement, okay? I don't know how many chains you got down there. For the rest of us, actual human beings, we know the full context of that clip. He's talking about killing his masters as a slave. This is a delusional thing to get mad about. Wow. Imagine watching that clip getting triggered. Ugh. I just want to be able to own my slaves in peace. Ugh.
Invited tons of angry black people to vent their fantasies about killing white people themselves, flooding Twitter with their hatred. Of course,
he's talking about killing fictional white slave owners. You're mad about a fictional movie where a fictional black person killed fictional white people who owned slaves. Well, I guess this goes right along with everything else he's scared of, just blatant fiction.
You can't tell disgruntled people who hate America and American culture, American symbols, our founding fathers, to go to another certain continent, because that would be racist. Everything is racist to the liberals. Black people's obsession with
Wait, I like how he's like too pussy to actually say it.
Who hate America and American culture, American symbols, our founding fathers, to go to another certain continent, because that would be racist. Everything is racist.
Yeah, if a black person says, hey, I really don't like how America treats black people sometimes, and you say, go back to your own country, that is racist. Yes, Mark. Because that black person, their country is America. And you're looking at their skin color and determining that because they're black, they belong to a different country where there's other black people. That's the racism right there, Mark. Just assuming that like all black people belong in Africa or something. Yeah, that's the racism, pal. You're doing it right now. I would never be able to be racist without the left calling me racist. Curious?
To the liberals. Black people's obsession with racism of the past can be seen in the obvious double standard of demanding white people not be allowed to say the N-word even while singing along to popular rap songs. Which
so we've gotten 1350, the JQ, go back to your own country, and now why can't I say the N-word, bro? Holy shit! It's so funny. I love it. These people, he started off complaining about this idea of white privilege. The fact that the biggest issue for you is that you as a white person can't say the N-word, the fact that you view that as a war on white people, Mark, that's privilege, my friend. You are incredibly privileged to wake up in your nice house, your safe neighborhood, and get online and complain about the fact that you can't say the N-word. What a bitch.
Which isn't even the N-word because it has an A at the end, or are there two N-words? It's impossible to figure out what
Okay, gotcha. Okay, sit down for grammar lessons with Mark Dice, everybody. The N-word, okay? It's only bad if you end it with If you ended with then it is fine. The soft A does not count as the actual N-word. Okay, thank you.
Delusional people are thinking. Kendrick Lamar brought a fan on stage to perform one of his songs once, but stopped the show.
Holy shit, this happened so long ago, and yes, it was cringy, but my god, this was like, what, 5 years ago?
Mid-performance because the girl, who was white, rapped along to the original lyrics, which include the dreaded N-word in the hook. After about 30 seconds, he told the DJ to stop the music and started staring at the girl. "Am I not cool enough for you, bro?" she asked, thinking that her rapping wasn't good enough. And he then went on to tell her the rules and said that she had to bleep that word out. She apologized, and then they started over. Imagine the level of fragility that someone has when they get their feelings hurt by white people saying...
Wait, imagine the level of fragility that you have. You're making this video 1 month ago, the war on white people. You've complained about a movie that came out ages ago and something that happened on stage with Kendrick Lamar like 5 years ago now. What, are you looking at the previous war on white people? Has like the war been won nowadays? Is this a history lesson? Where's the current war on white people, Mark?
The same thing happened when a star of The Bachelorette was singing along to a rap song on Instagram Live, because black people get more upset when a white person says the N-word when rapping along to a popular song than they do when gangbangers end up killing an innocent kid in their neighborhood with a stray bullet. Actually, most of them aren't really offended, they just...
Yep, that's... Yeah, true, haha. Hey, why don't the blacks on Twitter ever get mad about stuff happening in Chicago, you know? Like, I just, the assumption, how come you never talk about the bad things happening in your neighborhood? Are you just assuming that, like, because they're black, they live in a bad neighborhood in, like, downtown Detroit or something? What? He's just, like, being so racist, he barely realizes it. And now it's just, why can't I say the N-word? Oh, I want to say it so bad.
Pretend to be so that they can use the instance to leverage more power over white people. Imagine if white people demanded that black people weren't allowed to use certain words. Democrats in Congress would hold hearings and pass a resolution denouncing such outrageous language policing, and it would be a national scandal. But the dreaded N-word, even with an A on the end, mustn't be uttered out loud by white people because it's their word. If you like my monologues like this, then you'll...
What? He's just whining unironically that he can't say the N-word. This is like the conservative stereotype that lefties make fun of. The left is censoring us. And then in parentheses, they won't let me say the N-word. He's just doing that unironically. Then he claims it's the left that's fragile. He's the one getting offended that he can't say the N-word and a comedian's joke from like 10 years ago. Also, yeah, good point, chat. Why is he assuming that it's just black people getting mad about it? Usually it's other virtue signaling white people on Twitter who are like reeing about somebody saying the N-word one time. Why are you just assuming like it's the blacks doing this?
I love reading my books because that's where my complete and uncensored research is. I can't say out loud some things here.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's the end. If you want to hear his complete research, then you need to buy his book. If only I got like a little sample of your research, Mark. There was no research at all. It was just you making stuff up, getting scared about it, and then making more stuff up and getting scared about it. You know, there is one thing that I feel very envious of conservatives for, and it's they have such a powerful and vivid imagination. It's just wonderful, you know? It brings me back to the days of my childhood where your imagination could kind of run away with you, right? You could really think yourself into something scary. Conservatives just, they have that childlike imagination. They never grew out of it, and it's lovely. Mark here is able to tell himself a fantasy fairy tale about the spooky war on white people, literally make it up, and next thing you know, he's wetting the bed with fear because they are coming to get the white people, based on his own story he told himself. I really am envious of this childlike imagination. Well, there you guys have it. That is the war on white people. You can't say the N-word. 1350 diversity just means you want to get rid of white people, actually. And a comedian made a joke that hurt Mark Dice's feelings 10 years ago. Look out, whites. We are under attack.